All right. Hello, everybody. Big news for the 49ers as they return to practice on Monday, as Christian McCaffrey is designated for return. They've opened his practice window, and I'll tell you what all that means and also who else they opened the practice window for on Monday. But first, this is brought to you by Canyon Club Brewery. It's a brewery, a beer garden, a restaurant, all in the family-friendly location that they have in Moraga. A great space to hang out, have a cold one, have dinner, hang out with friends, all that. And coming soon to the Livery in Danville, right off of 680. So definitely going to be one of my go-to spots. All right. So Christian McCaffrey, after experiencing no setbacks, he was placed on injured reserve on September 14th, and he went to get the treatment in Germany. Everything has been trending in a very positive direction. And as the 49ers anticipated a week ago, they have opened the 21-day practice window for him, designated for return, all of that. That's good news for McCaffrey and the 49ers. So, what does it mean? I think it means he's going to play on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As the 49ers, what they have done this year with their players who have been designated for return, they don't waste around. They don't use that 21-day practice window if they feel the person is ready to play. They did it with Kalia Davis. And remember, he didn't have a whole lot of experience. He was injured in the very first preseason game. They opened his window on October 2nd, and they activated him on October 5th, and he was in the lineup when the 49ers played their next game. Also, Ricky Pearsall. I mean, here's a guy that got shot on August 31st. They placed him on the non-football injury list. They finally opened his practice window on the 14th of October. They activated him 5 days later. And then the next day, he was out there playing, making his NFL debut against the Arizona Cardinals. So I would fully expect the same thing with Christian McCaffrey. If he makes it through the week of practice, okay, expect him to be on the field on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 49ers also not elevated, but they opened the practice window for offensive lineman John Feliciano. He had an offseason procedure on his knee and went on the injured reserve list on August 28th, and he has been ready to go. So they opened the window for him. So look for him to be a backup, probably guard and center, and probably in uniform, I would suspect, as the 49ers have kept some offensive linemen here. Ben Barch has been the offensive lineman who has been inactive for most games. Their backups have been Nick Zakel and Jalen Moore. And who else? One other guy. I'm drawing a blank. I'll get that for you shortly. But the 49ers keep uh, three uh, three backup offensive linemen active for games. And so that's where they are right now, as far as what they're looking for those backups. Oh, Spencer Burford is the other one that I drew a blank on. So 49ers will probably, more than likely, um, probably remove one of those players from their 53-man roster to make room for John Feliciano. The same with McCaffrey. They'll have to make room for him once they place him on the 53-man roster. Both of those moves would probably happen at Saturday, 1 p.m. So let's just hit on both of these guys first. McCaffrey is what would be his role if he makes it through this week, as everybody expects that he will. Um, I don't expect him to be the kind of guy that touches the ball 20 times a game like he did last season. I do think that they will have to kind of mix him in. Jordan Mason and Isaac Grendo have both shown the ability to play effectively, at least through downs 1 and 2. What they have been severely lacking is a third down back, and that's what Christian McCaffrey gives the 49ers. He is one of the best, obviously one of the best first and second down backs in the league, and he's also, probably the best third down back in the league. Last year he rushed for 1,459 yards, 14 touchdowns. He also caught 67 passes for 564 yards and 7 touchdowns. And so he's been out with the bilateral Achilles tendonitis. They sat him out most of training camp, hoping he'd be ready for week one, September 9th against the Jets. And then 90 minutes before kickoff, he was declared inactive for that game. So, like I said, the 49ers have not lacked much with the running game with Jordan Mason and Isaac Grendo. Mason, 600, yeah, 609, boy, let me get this right. 685 yards rushing for him, a 5.1 yard average. He's well on his way to becoming the 49ers' seventh different leading rusher in the 8 seasons of this current regime. And then Gorindo has come on strong. He's averaging 6.1 yards a carry. But like I said, last year where McCaffrey was so good on third downs, catching passes out of the backfield, this year, all the 49ers running backs, so that is Mason, Gorindo, and Patrick Taylor, they have combined through 8 games for 15 catches for 120 yards. So 49ers would be getting back a valuable red zone target, third down guy, and also somebody with Christian McCaffrey that defenses have to be aware of on those third downs in the red zone. Wherever Christian McCaffrey goes, not only eyeballs follow him from the opposing defense, but also individuals go with him. He can't be singled up against a linebacker. He would feast all day. So he will just open up things for the 49ers offense. So again, Christian McCaffrey on the practice field. 49ers have a brief hour-long practice schedule for Monday, kind of a bonus practice before they have a day off on Tuesday, and then they start prep to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday in Tampa, Week 10. So Christian McCaffrey, more than likely, will be making his season debut. And then going back to Feliciano, I'm looking at him as more of a backup at this point. Right now, the 49ers offense has been doing enough good things. I don't see a deficiency where they just have to get somebody else in there, but he is there for insurance. He was the starting right guard last year, at least later in the season, after Spencer Burford kind of went downhill a little bit. So he's not going to be taking over right guard for Dominic Pooney. He's not going to be taking over at left guard for Aaron Banks. I don't think that 49ers have any designs on switching out Jake Brendel at center. So 49ers get another piece of depth for that offensive line with John Feliciano. The trading deadline coming up in a day. 49ers, I'm sure John Lynch said last week, 49ers have been talking to a lot of teams. They'll continue to talk to teams. So we'll see what happens there. But certainly a big addition to their roster and the likelihood that McCaffrey will be in uniform. So McCaffrey and Feliciano would be the 3 and 4 guys who have been elevated off of the IR list, or in the case of Pearsall, the non-football injury list. So they have 4 more of those spots open. I think we can anticipate who 3 of those spots are going to go to. Yetur Gross-Matos, Talanoa Hufanga, and Dre Greenlaw. So it looks like maybe 1 more spot available. All the other guys are out for the season who are on injured reserve. Brandon Ayuk, Javon Hargrave, at least Hargrave could return late in the season, or I should say in the postseason, if the 49ers make a postseason run. Um, I said Drake Jackson, Elijah Mitchell, Curtis Robinson, and then the kicker, Matthew Wright. He's on injured reserve. The only other guy who could return is Ambry Thomas, but I don't know that the 49ers would use one of those spots on him. They appear to be pretty set with guys who are better than him at the cornerback position. So that's what we got right now as far as the 49ers and the IR list. Christian McCaffrey back. One thing I want to touch on, I made a mistake. I misspoke. I couldn't read my own writing. When I talked about on the previous video about the 49ers having probably the most difficult of the schedules remaining from the NFC West, and I talked about the Arizona Cardinals having the least difficult schedule among the non-division opponents. And I misspoke and I said that Arizona plays Buffalo. They don't play Buffalo the remainder of the season. I misread my own writing. Week 11, I wrote down bye for Arizona. I took a quick glance at it and I saw that B and I thought it said Buffalo. So as I talked about, the 10 most difficult games that remain for NFC West teams. Three of them belong to the 49ers, three belong to Seattle, three belong to the Rams, and one belong to Arizona. And that one game I'm talking about with Arizona is at Minnesota, and that is week 13. I know very subjective, but just throwing it out there. Um, One last thing I want to touch on because I have gotten a lot of comments about Nick Bosa and the hat that he wore, kind of crashing that post-game interview. Um, a lot of obviously a lot of varying opinions of this, and I did touch on it on my overreactions last week, and I mean I'm just kind of going right down the middle of the road on this. Of course, I have my own beliefs. We all do. But someone on the overreaction said that his antics overshadowed the win over the Cowboys. And what I basically said was, I think half the country has one view, the other has the other view, and whether it overshadowed anything, that is completely where you're coming from politically. But what I did say is that he did have an opportunity to expound on his views, expound on his reasoning after the game when he was asked about it. And by the way, I was on live TV on the NBC Sports Bay Area post game show, 49ers post game live. So I didn't see it. So the first I heard about it was when he was asked about it in the press conference setting. And all he said when asked about it was, I'm not going to talk much about it, but I think it's an important time. I think we all can agree that. But, he did wear that Make America Great hat and Make America Great Again hat. And it did, without knowing the political leanings of Kittle, Purdy, and Garindo, I mean, it did kind of put them in an awkward position. Now, the NFL did not fine him, but I think it's pretty obvious that they will because it does break a rule and it's a nonpartisan rule. Expect him to get fined $11,255. That's the going rate for breaking that rule. And it's a nonpartisan rule, and it's put out there in black and white. If basically, not basically, what it is that any kind of personal message that a player um, that a player wears or shows, it has to be approved by the league in advance, and it relates to political causes or anything of that nature. And let me get the exact reading of it here. And it says that the period of time in which a player is prohibited from displaying a personal message is described in the NFL rulebook as throughout a game day when a player is visible in the stadium and the television audience, including post-game interviews in the locker room. And it's right there for you could sit to watch or to look at. It's Rule 5, Section 4, Article 8, and it states a player is prohibited from wearing or displaying a personal message that relates to political activities or causes, other non-football events, causes, campaigns, or charitable causes or campaigns. So there you have it. Again, towing the line. This will all be over as Election Day comes up on Tuesday, and I'm sure after that. And I do, like I said, the NFL didn't want this to become a hot button topic that could be used by a campaign as, oh, look at this, look at what they're trying to do. So I actually kind of agree with the timing of it, just to hold off until this very divisive time passes. So I know I didn't say much, but I just wanted to address it. And there you have it. But the big news of the day, of course, for the 49ers is that Christian McCaffrey is back on the practice field. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please like, comment, whatever you feel like doing. And that's it for now.